All right, guys, you're welcome. My name is Dibenja, and this is Dibenja Live, as you all know. And so today we are having someone in the building, someone very important, not just in my life, but in the life of Cameroonians. He's a brother, he's a friend, he's an academic, and he's a comedian, Dr. Kwoh Elonge, aka Auntie Felicia. Welcome to Dibenja Live.
Thank you, Dibenja, MC Dibenja. I cannot do without the MC. So MC Dibenja,
So I'm
thank you.
trying, I'm trying so hard to keep the MC aside, but you're only
Uh,
bringing it.
yeah. It's the other thing. It's stuck on you like chameleon physics. There's no way. Yeah, but thank you for having me. Always a pleasure.
Yeah. So have you been, man? Have you been? It's been a minute.
Good, really good, active. I'm sorry, I have to put dark shades. I'm suffering with some there's a say conjunctivitis, so red eyes. Yeah,
That's all
so
right.
yeah, I
That's all
don't know where
right.
it came from, but I've been good. But for that, it's bad for the political stress.
Tell me about it. I mean, talking about the political stress, we planned this interview like long time ago,
Yes,
and I didn't really want it to be about the whole thing going on in Cameroon. But then, as young people who are Cameroonians, and with everything going on in Cameroon right now, we cannot shy away from it. We
yes.
always have to talk about it one way or another. How does what's going on in Cameroon make you feel as a Cameroonian? Though you're not in Cameroon presently, but how does it make you feel as a Cameroonian at this moment?
Very optimistic, I would say, to see for someone who has been a referee for politics in Cameroon.
Yeah.
One of my biggest issues has always been the lack of engagement, civic engagement in politics, and especially in elections in Cameroon. So to see this new enthusiasm, this awakening, this consciousness, it's really, really fulfilling. It's something that it's very. It makes me feel very optimistic about the future. It makes me feel alive as a young person, a young electorate, because this is what we've been clamoring for. And I think that there is there's this new wave that you can see in terms of how people in terms of civic engagement, in terms of civic participation, in case of even civic awareness on their rights, their responsibilities, and how to make their voices heard. So it's kind of the start of a new dawn. I hope that it's sustainable. That we have the tendency to actually just leave things halfway in Cameroon. So I hope it continues this way.
Exactly. I mean, we have the tendency of always starting something and then along the way we abandon it. I mean,
Yeah.
if you look at Cameroon, there's so many projects all over the place, and then we started, and then the day it's left. Also, I think I'm proud of this generation of how much I could see young people exercising their civic duty and also ensuring that it really counts. People stayed
Yes.
out long hours trying to vote and make sure that their votes count, and that's really it's a new for me. I think like it's a new dawn, and I think this is a different time. You are a comedian, and oftentimes we say people could use what you do to advocate and to connect that with advocacy. I recently watched a video of you performing a stand-up piece, and the video has had lots of views of people all over the world have watched that video. And aside how amazing, aside how great the comedy piece was, but the message behind it, the message that you were passing through with your comedy was something that I'd say it's great. And so, how did you come up with all of that, and why did you choose to do that at this point in time?
Okay, so first of all, I think there's a definition of comedy that I love so much, which is that comedy is a funny way of telling people the truth.
Yeah.
So it's really about truth. And for me, I'd always wanted to do stand-up comedy because the Auntie Felicia character can be so comedic that sometimes you might lose sight of the subject matter and the seriousness with which some topics might be handled. The seriousness in terms of the comedic undertones that the character, that what she's talking about might carry. So I want to do stand-up comedy here also because I'm still trying to figure out how to place Auntie Felicia within the American context. So I feel like I have also gained the license to actually do comedy as myself after having done it as another character. So I can do it as myself. And so I was looking for the opportunity to just do something, and mostly to more multicultural, more diverse, almost non-Cameroonian audience. And it just happened that this comedy show was happening it was happening in September.
Yeah.
And I like to handle topical issues. I like to set the agenda on what I consider to be what should be talked about, what people should think about. And so I felt that, okay, this was a very good opportunity to actually, kind of both deliver comedy that I think that was intellectually stimulating, but also something that could inform the world about the conditions that Cameroon is. Because we have kind of somebody who has been described as a soft dictator. So the world's eye is hardly upon him.
Yeah.
And then thirdly, I also wanted to ruffle the feathers of the powers that be in Cameroon.
Yeah.
Because one of the things they don't like is civic freedom, especially freedom of speech.
Yeah.
And I doubt that I would have had the courage. I've always been critical of that government, but I doubt that I would have had the kind of courage and license that I took if I were in Cameroon. And
Yes.
so then it was like, okay, then I have it now. Why would I have it and not make use of it? Why would I not speak? I mean, people wrote back to me, they loved it, and then some people were like, "Oh, you're talking now because you're not in Cameroon." I say, that's exactly the point. You're
Yeah.
making the point for me that you are in Cameroon. We could not say these things. So now that I have a platform, and I think that these people know the platform and watch that platform, and they'll be curious to why, then it's time to actually talk to them from a position when I also know that I am sure of my freedom.
Yeah. I mean, this is the same thing I've had for a couple of days now, where I've come out to say things, come out to criticize on how everything is going and why we need a change in Cameroon and all that, and then calling on others to say let's do this, you know. And then I've had that where people will say that it's because you're out of Cameroon, and also as you said, and that's just to show you how the state of which things are in Cameroon, where you cannot freely express yourself. The press cannot freely express themselves because of the regime, because of what they're scared of what might happen after you express yourself, after you say something, what's going to happen after. And so when we're out here, we have the opportunity and we think that our safety is guaranteed in some way, that we can be able to use our platforms to spread out the message and call for people to participate in the democratic process. I mean, in a peaceful manner and in a lawful manner. I don't think that it's a problem. So looking at the way elections passed on Sunday, and a lot of people have been saying things. I mean, Isa Chiruma, who happens to be who happens to be the main opposition this year, has come out to say that he thanked the people and the people have spoken, and so he's waiting to see at the end of the day probably what the constitutional council is going to say, and no matter what he says, they say he's already said that he's won because the people have voted. So a statement like that from Issa Chuma, what do you make of it?
So the first thing is, I mean, there is the trend in voting and just the enthusiasm among voters, especially
Yeah.
young voters, shows that I mean, the momentum is with Issa Chiruma. He's
Yeah.
the one to beat, not even Pobia. He's the one to beat. You could see the last days before the elections that some opposition parties focus more on trying to discredit Issa Chiruma than actually the incumbent.
Exactly.
That's because people could see the momentum, could feel that the population had formed a coalition
Yeah.
around this particular candidate. And it's not because the population is naive. We all understand the many shortcomings of Issa Chiruma.
Issa Chuma.
But there are certain parameters that people use in judging why they should vote for Issa Chiruma. And I talk from somebody who has a platform where people could express what they feel or what they felt.
Yeah.
And number one was that he came up as somebody who appeared to be contrite, who was sorry for
Yeah.
his role in creating the kind of political environment that we now have, especially among the Anglophones. And I think somebody wrote something today about the fact that do people truly believe that Mimi Mefo, who probably kickstarted Chiroma's career, in terms of campaigns for the Anglophone
Campaign.
people, that she who is supposed to be Chiroma's number one enemy,
Enemy.
she was so naive as to practically endorse him on a
Yeah.
platform. And all these other people, he went to prison. Bala went to prison while this guy
Because
was because of this. And all of these, Metre Alice Com, who has been a human rights advocate, who actually has had a lot of loggerheads with this. Rebecca Emerson, and the pedigree of these people, the credibility that these people put on the line. You think they just did it willy-nilly? No, they understand his flaws, but they also understand that Chiroma's story does not start and end with his term in the BR regime. Remember that before he even came there, this guy used to be a staunch opposition candidate, was locked up for 6 years for his opposition to this.
Yeah.
So the fact that he could, and Chuma speaks the language of the people. He's a very clear communicator. He's able to, he comes off as an empath. He's able to say what people want to hear. Now, the sincerity of these things can only be judged if he's given the opportunity.
Exactly.
The point is, you are dealing with, if not him, who else? None of the other candidates. You don't only have to have an ideal candidate. You have to have a pragmatic candidate who can win.
Yeah.
Who can win? Samuel Yodi could not win the elections. Joshua Osi cannot win the elections. And Kabal Libby is a very regional candidate.
Yeah.
Very parochial, very local. And Damjoya, of course, will not win the elections.
Yeah.
So that's a post Damjoya. They cannot. Serge
Matumba. Yeah.
Matumba is a perpetual runner for elections. He should be stopped. So there was no candidate that people could. So when people saw momentum, they saw hope.
Yeah.
People are not oblivious to his weaknesses, but people like a redemption story.
Yeah.
And people fell behind because of that. So for me, after this, to see the declaration is made, I have worked with the system. I've worked for that system. And I know that you see, after these elections was heavily compromised.
Yeah.
Especially in the rural areas where most political parties, especially in the English-speaking parts of where a lot of political parties are not represented, not because they don't want to be represented, but access is a problem. I have said elections can be transparent, but they sometimes are not free or fair. For example, what Elekam had to do was merge polling stations, right? Now, let me give you hypothetical that if, because of the crisis, they had merged the police station from Malingo and Checkpoint, I said everybody who is from Malingo or from St. Therese would vote in Checkpoint. What it does is a lot of people will be disenfranchised because they will not necessarily want to move up there. That's what Elekam did in a lot of the polling stations. And then the crisis itself had made it in such a way that people had mixed information. Should they go out and vote? Should they go out? Should they stay back home? Participation was incredibly low in the English-speaking regions. It was higher than 2018, but still low because a lot of people could not partake in the exercise. A lot of people had registered, they had moved, a lot of internally displaced people, and they had not revised their names on the register. Now, almost everywhere else is that Chiroma wins. But for the areas where there are no voters, it's crazy that anybody would think that after everything the Southwest and Northwest has gone through, especially the Northwest, that the Northwest become the bread and butter basket of the CPDM part. Give me a break.
I'm like, what is going on?
I am like, everybody can see the jubilation when the results are being proclaimed in the different polling stations. We want to see the CPDM jubilation in the polling stations where this took place. Let's see the people who were jubilating.
Exactly.
Let's document it. It is equal halves evil and deadly because this has the potential of just stirring up an entire.
How did 15,000 or is it 5,000 people vote in Batibo?
In Batibo, I was saying the level of enthusiasm in rural areas in Cameroon where nobody is found, where these people have suffered the brunt of this crisis. Somehow, 15 people migrated back to Batibo because they wanted to give their unwavering support to the CPDM party. Give me a break. We've seen the videos of the massive rigging taking place. In fact, to imagine that, I just want to say this is my challenge. The CPDM areas where they are strong, please, I just want to see the videos of jubilant voters who, when they heard that CPDM has been declared winner in Batibo, were jumping up and down.
Exactly.
I just want to see that. There is enough evidence in Boya, in Limbe, all over Littoral. The momentum is there. You are saying the entire diaspora, but for Russia, voted overwhelmingly for Issa Chiroma. But it was in the villages. Remember, the diaspora is not almost directly affected by these. We are entitled in some way. We are affected because that's our country. But I'm saying we don't feel the brunt the way people back home, especially in the rural areas, feel. I say, Dibenja, Dikume Balwe People who I think was the people who buried their chief alive for opposing what this is a place where they say CPDM has a stronghold.
And you have, with all this going on, you still have people
Churchill Mambe needs to go to the Kumebalwe back and show us the voters in the Kumebalwe who who voted this massively for CPDM. I want to see them jubilating.
And then you see how people on the internet would say that, yes, it's possible because the CPTM has created what their footprint, everything, their blueprint is printed in the lower areas. And so the only way these other parties can win is if they go to the lower areas. Villages that no one lives there anymore. Most of these villages have been occupied. Nobody lives there anymore. I mean, the one that shocked me more was Batibo, because Batibo, as we know, throughout this Anglophone crisis, has been really affected.
Yes.
We've seen videos. People have left. People have fled Batibo. How did they get 5,000 people?
And it's such an insult to, do you see, the CPDM elite? They are so unconscionable, so wicked, that they want to undermine the will of the people because they want to line their pockets. And so they cannot even empathize with the suffering of their people. It is only about how it reflects on them, how they preserve this. You know, I even used to look at the CPDM party. I'm like, okay, let's say CPDM is supposed to. The party itself does not have the dynamism where they can evolve the leadership to have a different candidate. Must they have a 92-year-old museum piece?
I mean, since they already have the groundwork, they already have everything put in place. If they could come up with a new candidate, another candidate, I think it would work better for them than trying to force. You talked about the suffering of the people. One video there's a certain video I watched that was really, I was heartbroken by. There was this old elderly woman who was in some way recruited by the CPDM to rig votes in a polling station, and I could feel this. I don't even think that she knows what she's doing, right? Because people are furious at the polling station and on her, like, how did you have to do it? She's trying to force a lot of ballot papers in an envelope, and then you could see how she was like, what happened? She was shocked herself because you could see this old woman who knows nothing that is going on, but you guys have succeeded to recruit her into your crazy games. It's sad.
It's sad. The thing is, they recruit most of the most vulnerable of our community or in our community, because poverty and lack has a way of killing agency and integrity. They're able to make impoverished people in such a way that people have lost sense of their own moral values, and the need for survival makes it in such a way that everything feels like an opportunity. So look at what happened to the CDC workers. These people have gone for 8 years without salaries. And when you hear of salary, it's actually an insult to the people when they talk about salaries. The start of salary in CDC is 33,000 francs. And then this person stays for 8 years without salaries. And then you don't know how they survive. Quite frankly, these people are extremely resilient. But imagine that after that, when they keep this money, which they have, definitely, until the twilight of elections. And then the eve of elections, they come and they're virtually giving part, not an installment of the payment. And this installment is supposed to be a bargaining chip for them to vote the CPDM. How else can you insult someone's dignity to starve the person of their due and then use that same thing to... And see, let me tell you something, MC. Let me tell you why it's so frustrating. Cameroon political class is very elitist. These people, it's not that these people are incompetent. It's not that they are uneducated. It's not that they are not well traveled. These are the richest. And the most opportune people. Call them, name any. Most of them studied in the West, Northern America, Europe, and they enjoyed the freedoms and opportunities of these societies. They come back to these societies when they want to even enjoy some of the services, healthcare, tourism, just peace, security. They come back here. This is where they vacation with their families. Their children study here because they want their children to be able to match the global demands of the market. They do all of that while at the same time impoverishing their country. So the question is, for crying out loud, you think that these countries, the services of these countries are really good, but you don't want to translate it into your own country so that your countrymen can also enjoy it. Like, I don't understand that mindset, because all of these people, they use the services. They use it. Your Minister of Territorial Administration has a house here in Texas. Almost all of them have properties there. That one, whether it's either Peter or Paul, because he's a twin. It is the good twin that died. It is crazy.
It is really crazy. But one thing I'm proud of this set of Cameroonians. I call them the no nonsense Cameroonians. People like yourself, people like ourselves, where we have said that because we have the means to use our platforms to advocate for this, to say we need change and change has to come, and we're doing that. So I'm proud. And I could see people, young people that I could start naming them in the Northwest and the Southwest, who amidst the ghost town could still go out and vote and stay in the police station right in the night. We all know how insecure the level of insecurity in the two regions of Northwest and Southwest. But these people could still go out, stay there all day, even at night, just so their votes could really be counted in front of them. And so I'm really proud of you guys. I'm proud of everybody back home who is doing that. We can be out there and we can have the freedom to say these things that we're saying. But I think you are more courageous being back home with the situation and everything, with the threats that come from the Minister of Territorial Administration, because he has taken it as a thing. I mean, I say that if you have a child and you keep bullying the child, keep scolding at the child, there is a day that child will say, "I don't really care about that thing you're saying." And that I think the Cameroonians are at that point right now where if a Tangaji goes right now on an interview or drops a communique, nobody cares about it anymore. We just say, "Oh, we're used to that." The town sheriff, the new sheriff in town, we're used to it because that happened. So if you have something to say to Cameroonian youths back home who are braving the arts and doing whatever they're doing right now to make sure that it goes forward, what would you say to them?
Yeah, I mean, again, great job. Keep being engaged. What they fear most is the power of the people. This is a very violent government because they know they cannot claim any legitimacy to power. That's why they need all of the traits. That's why they need people like Tanganji who visually and mentally communicates only evil.
Yeah.
So keep being engaged. But for Anglophones especially, safety first.
Yes.
Because Anglophones have suffered the brunt of the brutality and wickedness of the BR regime and its surrogates for a century, half a century. So as much as we want to be engaged, we don't want Anglophones to die.
Of course. Not anymore. We've had a lot more.
So our French brothers, I am happy they are taking the baton. We will sit back. We would encourage them to fight, to stand up for what is right, because we've been doing a lot of the standing up. So we are not sitting. We are just taking a back seat for them to, because they have the numbers. Yeah. So they take it forward. But for my Anglophone brothers and sisters, this government has no regard in terms of its handling of Anglophones. Yeah. So please, let's make our voice. Let's make it heard, but let's be strategic about it.
Yeah.
Let's be very strategic about it. You remember yesterday when they locked up the young guy, Future's son? Yeah. It was through the pressure, social media pressure. It's psychological bullying and damage that we do to them, where we bring all of their weakness. Human beings respond. There is that respond that they must have, because nobody wants people talking only evil of them, you know. Yeah. And this particular Dipoko chief is a chief who has xeroxed the throne, because he's not even part of the bloodline of that Dipoko chief. Yeah. So he has removed. He has stolen the throne, and they still has the temerity to want to, for shame, want to intimidate a young guy who has neither political power nor financial resources. The only thing he had was his phone. And instead of being remorseful about the damage which him and his cronies have been doing, he goes and locks him. So if we did not have the collective outcry that we have to make sure that they would have harmed this guy. Because nothing is being done to him. Though he's been caught on tape, nothing is being done to him. But what can be done to somebody who has even stolen a throne?
Exactly. So, when I mean, we talk about this on and on and on, but we'll keep talking and we'll keep monitoring how everything is going. You have been out of Cameroon for a while now, and how is that affecting? I know you've been going now into stand up. How is that affecting your comedy? Because your comedy, it was mostly about the touch about original Cameroonian. Auntie Felicia is like an original, authentic Cameroonian auntie. So how is
Yes.
that affecting our auntie, our woo auntie? How is you being in America affecting the character?
I mean, it's been a mixed blessing.
Yeah,
I have had to rethink, adapt a lot of my content. I also face a lot of challenges in terms of just shooting because in Cameroon, people are readily available. You can get cast, you can get production readily
yeah,
available. Here, it is almost impossible. I've had to adopt. I sometimes I play multiple characters.
yeah.
I do all of that now, which has helped me in my editing skills too, and all that. And then I have prioritized performing live,
Okay.
which has been the beauty of this, which in a way vindicates the work we did with Auntie Felicia. I say we, you and I particularly, we did with Auntie Felicia because Auntie Felicia was such a relatable character, likable character
Yeah,
that people, it's not just about the online skits. People like to see the character in person. And
yeah.
so, though I have slowed down on how much content I can produce, I get more bookings for performance,
Okay.
which
Yeah.
is really nice, I think, because then I can bring the character to life in front of people.
In
And I
front
think
of
that
people.
people are more appreciative and they pay more.
That's what's more important.
But so far, I've been working on material. I'm working on a series with some really former actors who are here now.
Okay.
Samson Ta, all of these people,
Yeah.
Mbango, who have
Yeah.
moved here. So we're
Yeah.
working on a very beautiful series. It's Auntie Felicia focused.
Okay.
People should start probably getting it by mid-November or so. We've
Okay.
been working on that. We hope to expand it. So it's really about how, yeah, I don't want to give out a lot more, but it's really about her adjusting. We are bringing her
Yeah.
into family. We are bringing her into therapy. We're bringing
Yeah.
her like different angles in it to see how an African mother who is like Auntie Felicia will adapt in an American society. How does she
Yeah.
deal with grandchildren? How does she deal with her daughter-in-law, with her son?
Yeah.
How does she deal with the fact that you cannot beat a child? You beat a child, you have to be put in therapy. How do you deal with all of that? So it's very nice because I like to see how she spirals out,
Yeah.
and so it's nice and to see that people wanted to work. The other part which is nice is also that in the coming months, there is a different angle in which the Auntie Felicia character would be interpreted through this is a scoop for you with
Yeah.
comic. So that is the next thing. I'm working with
I
Egypt
mean,
with that.
whenever you I hear something coming from you, I'm always
Yes.
excited to want to know what's
Yeah.
coming out
So
because
so
I
that's it basically. But then I have my other things here. Things doing it's emceeing is the thing.
yeah.
You probably I am so blessed. I think that in that I was given some skill sets that make me adaptable to every new environment where
Environment.
the Cameroonian community especially still always needs my service. So I don't come here like other people come as just new faces and they have to really struggle. I have not faced that kind of struggle here
Yeah.
as such. I'm still building because it's a new environment. I'm trying
Yeah.
to branch out into a much more wider non-Cameroonian audience. So that
Yeah.
requires me to do stand-up
Stand
more
up.
as myself because they do not have any concept of Auntie Felicia. And
Okay.
Auntie Felicia, quite frankly, will be restricting my comedy as a stand-up comedian.
I mean, I remember sometime back, I told someone, I said, when we used to work together, I told someone, I said, when someone talked about the whole you dressing feminine just to be funny, I said, you guys have not seen anything because this guy, I know him on a personal base, and I think Auntie Felicia is the least funny you could ever see with him because just having a daily chat with you, it's a whole breath of fresh air. I mean, on top
Yes.
of comedy and all that. And so I'm proud of you, seeing you taking this new step and getting to stand up, which is something we've talked about for a very long time. And so
Yes.
so when you look back at home and how the Cameroonian comedy scene is right now, there was a time where it was you, Dorcas, Karian Kopis, it was Richard and all of that. But right now, suddenly everything has changed. Everything is seemingly being shifted the way because you guys are taking a different direction. What do you think about the current state of the Cameroon comedy industry, especially those who are back at home right now?
Do you want the politically correct answer or you want the truth?
I want a
Because
truthful
the
answer.
political the politically correct answer is, oh, everything is, I mean, people are pushing, the people are doing, it's always possible to identify individuals who keep the
Yeah.
space going. You have Pangwa, you have CJ, you have Baptist. You would
Yeah.
still find a few people who would keep the flames going. That's the country cannot be devoured of talent that you would
Yeah.
have.
Yeah.
But do we still have the energy, the value? Do we still occupy the space that we're able to create? And even in terms of financial power and all of that, do you still see all of that? I don't think so.
Yeah.
And it's not just particular to comedy, it's particular to entertainment. It's the entire entertainment structure just struggling. And one is lack of leadership in the sectors. People do not understand the value of leadership. People take leadership to mean, oh, you just fight power. You just want to listen out. But leadership is important in defining the face of an industry. And it doesn't mean there must be just one leader, but I'm just saying leadership. Wherever
Yeah.
you are, that
Yeah.
you are able to lead, right. So I don't, when it comes to the comedy sector, which is where I specialize, again, I see people who do some good work, who are standing
Yeah.
in that space, but we don't see that. We had a lot of talent
Yes.
and we had built like an ecosystem where comedy became the center
The
of
center
everything.
of things.
Now you have people who are exceptional, but there is no middle ground. There is no space again where you have Auntie Felicia, Richard, you have Caro, you have Gran Lorenzo, you have
Yeah.
all of this, and then you have the respect that the corporate world had for that. We work together.
Yeah.
Day in, day out, it was a brand ambassadorial deal. It was adverts. It was all of that. It was as if we had entered into some form of new agreement
Yeah.
with the corporate
The corporate
world
world.
around how comedy has become the center of it. And you could see the respect. Comedy was before we came, trust me, people have been doing good job. But the way we centered the entire entertainment industry on comedy, there was nothing that was happening that comedians were not at the forefront. Musicians would depend on us, filmmakers would depend on us, every other sector. That was a
Yeah.
melting point. But now I don't see the leadership, right? If you were talking about, say, peak moments there, whether it's Simfest, Kamif, it was the comedians driving it.
Yeah.
International collaborations, travel, all of these things which are indicative of growth.
Good.
It was the comedians who are at the forefront of it. You
Yeah.
know, it was during our time that Richard and I got nominated for the Canal d'Or, things which we never heard of in
Yeah.
Anglophone Cameroon. A lot of the things, MTN brand ambassadorship, Orange and all of that, the corporate world was energized. Now, no, you don't have that again. You don't have that. And it wasn't just because we were talented. I think it was also because of the way we created a community. When you come together, collaboration, all of that, you're able to build a stronger brand. Not just your brand, I'm saying the comedy brand. You're able
Yes.
to build a stronger brand. There are people whom I like with the work they do. I really like CJ. I really like Mpangwa. I like BK. Maybe there's someone I'm not calling, but these are the people that come that
Yeah.
into. But I also think that there are a lot of, I don't know what I should say this. Let me think. How do I say this? I think content creators
Yeah.
should be careful of predators.
Okay.
Those who understand will understand.
Yeah. I
But
think I kind of know where you're going to.
yeah, but they should be, because what predators do is kill agency.
Agents. Yeah.
What they sell to you is they are able to move you from this point to this point,
Yeah.
as if you were not already doing it yourself to go to that point, despite the fact that the statistics show that they're not moving you to this point. And I think that people need to, content creators especially who are very good, need to think twice. A lot. They need to think twice. I've said that we all were independent comedians
Yeah.
who were able to excel, who were able to do our things. I see a lot of predatory instincts, a lot of it, but I think that it contributes a lot to that. The
Yeah.
other thing is people should also be able to differentiate between value and buzz. It's very important as to how you climb in your career. People, you would know that, I cannot call names, but there are people who were doing pretty good in terms of content, but were
Yeah.
not doing pretty good in terms of growth and value,
Yeah.
right? So you have content which is engaging, perhaps, but it's not translating to value, monetary value, and value, all of that. These are things that we need to start thinking about. And I think that maybe we failed in terms of mentorship. Maybe that was something that we failed in.
Maybe,
I've
yeah,
thought about it too, and like, okay, maybe for the people who were coming up, if we
yeah,
maybe coached them a little bit and told them that these were some of the tricks and these were some of also the pitfalls that we fell into, it would have helped them. But sometimes it's sad to see some of the trajectory, and I'm like, you have more potential than this.
yeah. I mean, I practically, I technically understand what you mean. These days, I've seen almost every creator, every content creator, every comedian, young person coming up wants to be in quote under an umbrella, and it becomes you. Then you get to observe, or you want to try to understand what step that umbrella is taking to move you from point A to point B that you were not already doing, or was a new thing they're bringing, and then you cannot definitely see that. But well, like you said, it might be a two way thing. It might be you guys didn't do the mentorship of them that much for them to understand that this is how you had to go. But I recall when we were doing Auntie Felicia, and in a week, if we had 10 adverts, 10 videos to shoot, 10 content, 10 skits to shoot, we have close to about 6 or 7 that were from the corporate world, adverts and all that. And so it was a turning point in the comedy industry. And like you said, it was like the center of everything entertainment. Filmmakers were getting to you guys, artists were getting to you guys. It was like a center point, and it was really a good time to be alive. And I wish that someday we get to that same thing come to life. So thank you so much for talking to us right here. We could talk on and on and on and on again, but then I always like talking to you and then leaving some for later,
Yes.
because I mean we're still observing to see what the elections is going to be like, in
Uh-huh.
what the verdict is going to be in the next, is it 13 days now, or is it 14 days from now? What?
One second. One thing. There is one person whom I am so happy for.
Yeah,
One comedian, one colleague that I'm so happy for. And this is Godis Fungwa, Richard. Because maybe people miss this. This guy is the pioneer of skit making, kind
yeah,
of.
yeah,
Modern skit making. He was there before almost all of us ever came. And he's been a form of inspiration to a lot of us who later on came in there. And for the longest, I think you and I have had this discussion. We've always had it. When would this guy get his flowers, his recognition,
exactly.
and all of
Yeah,
that? And I'm very glad that we're seeing a lot more growth,
yeah,
a lot more recognition around him.
yeah,
And I just wanted to state that because that's one person whom, for me particularly, because I so much admire his craft and artistry. I
yeah,
always want to see him win. I always want to see him win. He's also one of the people who has, in my career, one of the easiest people to collaborate with.
yeah,
One of the easiest. I mean, I've done some really nice collaborations, but when I'm working with Richard, it's so easy. There are two of them who when I collaborate with, it's so easy. Carol and Richard, because Carol really, you don't have to give her a script. She just flows, and
yeah.
and then Richard is just a genius. He's just a genius. So yeah, I bet Richard particularly, I like the fact that things are working for him.
Yeah, I mean, of recent Richard has been making some strides, and like you said, when they put the work, the time comes where it's payback time, and I think this is payback time for Richard, and he's reaping for everything that he sowed. Like I said, thank you so much for being on the show. Thank you so much for joining me on Dibenja Live. You're always joining me every time I have a platform. You're one person that will always come on my platforms, and I cannot stop calling you on my platform because we always have a lot to talk about. That people always want to listen from you. And I think that when we talk, whenever we have a chat on any of our platforms, you always say a lot of things that people need to pay attention to. And that's why I always run back to you to like, okay, I need to hear your take on this particular thing. And thank you so much. And like always, I always wish you luck out there. It's a new environment for you, and you're taking a new step towards stand up, which is something that I know that you are great at. And so I know that you're going to strive in it. The MCs and everything you're doing right there in America, I just wish you luck on it. Thank you so much for being here and talking with me on Dibenja Live, as we look forward to see who our next president is going to be.
Thank you so much, MC. Thank you. I'm so happy that one of the things I like about you is that you always keep the flame burning. You never go out of because you've always been passionate about media production, presenting, and all of this. And no matter the circumstance, it is so soaked in your DNA that you cannot leave it. I mean, in Cameroon, it's one thing, one trying, but I see the growth and improvement, and you get here. I know what it means to adjust to a new environment, and you're still killing it. You're still doing this. It's like there is no way. You are the type of child like, no, you know if you do you know go play football, you know go play football, you know go play that football, and then you go into the seminary and come back as a footballer from the
From the
seminary.
seminary.
So the priest who is a footballer. So I'm so proud of your growth, personal growth
Thank
as a
you.
person.
Thank
You and
you.
I have a different kind of friendship, and you're more like my younger brother and family. So yes, this of course, if I'm coming here, I'm coming home. But I am very impressed in terms of your own professional growth, how much you're doing, and that you always keep the oil, because it's not always like you're making money from
Yeah.
this, but the
Yeah.
passion is always there and the determination is there. So keep winning, keep winning.
Thank you. Thank you very much. All right, guys. It's about for right here with me and Dr. Kwoh Elonge, aka Auntie Felicia. We've had a beautiful chat, and so you can check it out. Make sure you follow us on all social media platforms. It's Auntie Felicia, or you can follow Dr. Kwoh Elonge. And for me, it's Dibenja Ngotto Frederick on Facebook. On our YouTube channel, it's the Six Studios Network. And on TikTok, it's Dibenja Live. On Instagram, it's Dibenja. See you next time. Goodbye.
Bye.